Just doing a quick update on the John Deere 440 project. So I'm trying to tear this thing down and fix a bunch of stuff that's broken on it. So got a lot of work to do. There's a bunch of stuff that's broken. The pins in the steering are pretty bad. The steering's pretty loose. Some bushings are pretty worn. The fuel shutoff cable is broken off. I had to already do all the gas stuff. The gas had gelled, so I had to clean all the shutoff valve and then basically everything from the gas tank to the pump, including the filter part. So I got to pick up a new filter, but got it clean enough so it would run, so I could drive it around a little bit. I got some brakes to do, but as of now, we took the wheels off. Got all the brackets for the loader part. I had to take off all the arms and stuff for that. So that's where we are currently. Got to check on. Gonna have to pull this and check the splines because this is pretty loose. It's not supposed to turn like that, obviously. So gonna have to get a big socket and take that big nut off and check the splines there. So here's our here's all the valves and everything for the loader part. So down here there's a relief valve, system-wide relief valve, I believe. I've been trying to read up on it, so but I could be wrong on some of these things. So fitting down there. There's a toggle, like a valve here, so you can put it to the backhoe or put it to the loader. So that's what that knob and part does. I did play with the. I was cleaning some stuff up, so I did put some washers to try to shim these up. They're pretty worn, but I think that's going to help tighten them up a little bit. So they're a lot better than they were. They were pretty sloppy. So bucket and boom levers. So this is a beast. These are heavy. These are the brackets for the backhoe assembly. And what they have is, down the bottom there's a pin. We tried to pound the pin out, but I couldn't get it to pound out, so we took the whole assembly, took the wheels and everything, and just took them out from underneath the wheels. These pins are supposed to come out, so I'll see if I can push them out and grease them up in case I ever need to take this plate off again. That I won't have to take the whole assembly apart. Or if I have to take the wheel loader apart, I don't have to take the backhoe stuff. I'll have to take the whole assembly because it's heavy as a unit. So it had shims. You can see the shims on all four corners there. So you can see the marks, and there were two shims on some of these. The shims, I believe, are to help line these pins up with the where it bolts up to the backhoe. So I'll take a walk and go take a look at the loader part. This is the current state of the loader. I put a little bit of tape, but I'm going to have to redo these steel lines. But I put some tape to try to be able to match these back up. I'll probably work on all these while it's off like this because it's a whole lot easier. I did have to replace some of these already. So you can see that one's new, but goes into the steel line, which is pretty bad. Because when I bought it, those were actually, that hose was broke off. There was a fitting there that had broken off, so it was just squirting oil out on the ground. So got to get into a little bit of that. Probably do a lot of the hoses while it's off, especially on things that are hard to reach, so that when I get it put back together, I don't have to dig into this again. It's not trivial to take all this apart. I had to take the basically I had to take the arms, as you can see, the pins that go into the bushings and stuff, the pins for the cylinders. I had to take all those out and separate this whole unit from the rest of the unit. So that's where that sits. One more short walk, and we'll look at what I did with the backhoe. Nice and 80-something degrees here in Florida in December. So this is the backhoe assembly that I took off. It's got these sleeves that you can back it into. This is actually pretty easy to take off because you can leave it connected. It's got quick connects. Should have quick connects for this. And so you can leave it connected up and take it off. One thing I didn't know, though, is that has a pin down in here. Hopefully that'll come into focus. There's a pin in there that goes through. These actually have basically sleeves like the other one had. And those kind of stay in there, and that's what hooks onto the hooks you saw on the Backhoe assembly. So what you do is you can lift this one. I think you would drop this low and drive away from it, and then you drive back to it and then lift it up into the pins. Those are the big pins that come out of the top, and those go up in here into those holes. So I got a lot of work on this thing to do too. I'll probably try to do a lot of the hoses while it's off like this, because it's a lot easier to get to and to work on. So any of these hoses that look like they're in pretty bad shape, I'll do them now before I put it all back together, because it's easy. You could do them one at a time, kind of, and it helps keep it keep you straight. You can see there's zip ties on them. And I obviously have to fix some of these valves. You can tell that one's leaking pretty bad, so I got to get into some of these and get them fixed so that they're not leaking so much fluid. This one was leaking fluid as well, so a lot of leaks on this one. You can tell it's pretty oily all down in there. So a lot of leaks on this part, a lot to get into. That's what swings the whole assembly, the boom. Now mine, there's a plate that goes onto this, and it bolts here. It has a wing nut here and a wing nut here, and it goes down and drops into here, and that's what keeps this from swiveling while you're driving. But you can see this one got busted out, so there's just a bolt down in there somewhere. So what I'll probably do though instead is just to do an arm with a bracket that comes off of here and goes out to the boom, and I could just drop some of the pins, like snap pins, into it, and that'll hold it. I'd rather not mess with the old thing there anyways. So you can tell this cylinder's leaking pretty bad, so that one's going to have to get new packing. So I've been reading up on what it takes to do all that, and then I'll need to do some work on the pins on the bucket someday, and then eventually probably weld some plates to fill some holes in the bucket. But that'll be a little while. So what's wrong with the Backhoe is the John Deere 440 tractor part is clutch. Clutch is bad. It wouldn't, in first gear it'll drive, but in second and third gear it starts to slip pretty bad. Third gear won't go up a hill, it just starts to slip. So we'll be getting into clutch. I'll walk you back real quick and show you the plan anyways. From what I've been reading, you get it pretty much level, and it's just 4 bolts, 1, 2, and then 3, 4 on the other side, and that should allow the engine to come away from the rest of the tractor. So I'm going to try not to do a whole lot with the engine part just yet, and probably get some gaskets for the oil pan, obviously do an oil change, and then I think this the top cover gasket, I'll probably redo that one because it's leaking quite a bit of oil around that. So this side's not nearly as bad as the other side. And I'm going to try to pick my battles here. There's a lot that needs to get fixed, so I'm going to try to kind of hit the bare essentials and anything that's difficult to get to, and the rest of the stuff I'll see if I can come back and just kind of tinker with it here and there. But I'm excited. I'm excited to get it to this point. The last thing I'll mention is getting these arms off. So you can see there's a kind of an inset there, and I'll tell you that we basically had the other tractor, my 8N. I had a chain around these, and we were beating and squirting the stuff to try to free them up, and they were stuck in there pretty good. So that's how you take them out. They have a thing that looks like this, goes into the side, and they'll actually swivel on this pin, and that goes in there like that, and then that whole assembly goes into that area that you just saw there. It goes in, sticks into the into the thing. So that's how that goes on. I wasn't sure exactly how that went on, so I was kind of afraid to wrap a chain around it and start yanking on it, and it took quite a bit. I mean, we were putting a little bit of slack in the chain and hitting it, so that's a lot of force. But finally they freed up, and we were able to pop them off last night. So that's the update for now. I'll try to do an update as I keep going, although I'm pretty bad about that, but I'll do an update when I start tearing some of the stuff apart, and hopefully this helps somebody out. All right.